Remember to hit that subscribe button.
How you doing, everybody? It's the host of Against the Grain Sports. We're coming with you another edition of Top 10 NFL Players of All Time. Now, before we get started, like and subscribe to the page. I want to see who your top 10. Do you agree with mine? If not, leave a message and we want to compare notes. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to start from 10 to 1 and you let me know, did I get it right or did I get it wrong? Coming in at number 10 is linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, Ray Nitschke. Ray Nitschke had 25 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and it was 2-time All-Pro. During his time, they didn't calculate sacks, so we don't know how many sacks he had, but he was one of the most dominant middle linebackers for the Green Bay Packers. Coming in at number 9, Bruce Smith, Buffalo Bill, longtime Buffalo Bill, Washington Redskins towards the end of his career. He ended up with 200 sacks, leading the NFL all-time in the sack category. He had 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. He was an 8-time All-Pro. He was an 11-time Pro Bowler. Coming in at number 8, safety, Ronnie Lott for the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Raiders. He had 63 interceptions. He had 8.5 sacks, 5 touchdowns. He had 6 All-Pro and 10 Pro Bowls. Coming in at number 7, the Baltimore Ravens safety, Ed Reed. Ed Reed come in with 64 interceptions. He had 13 touchdowns. He had a 5-time All-Pro and a 9-time Pro Bowler. Coming in at number 6, linebacker, Chicago Bears, Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus had 22 interceptions. He recorded 1 touchdown. He was a 5-time All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler. Coming in at number 5, this guy probably had the most sacks of all time, but sacks had not been recorded. So this was before 1982. That man is no other than Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones had 2 interceptions. He was a 5-time All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler. And probably, like I said, led the NFL in sacks, but we don't know because they didn't compile those stats as of yet. Coming in at number 4 is linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. Played on maybe arguably one of the best defenses of all time, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis had 31 interceptions at middle linebacker. He recorded 2,059 tackles. He had 41.5 sacks at middle linebacker with 3 touchdowns, a 7-time All-Pro, and a 13-time Pro Bowler. That's some amazing stats when a guy that they didn't think was even going to make it was undersized. Coming in at number 3, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White. Reggie White came up with 198 sacks. He had 2 touchdowns, 8-time All-Pro, 13-time Pro Bowler, and probably was one of the strongest men in NFL history. If you look back at one of these stats, he threw Larry Allen, another Pro Bowler for the Dallas Cowboys. If you go back and look when he played for Green Bay, he literally tossed Larry Allen. This guy was amazing, was a brute force, and he dominated the game from start to finish. Coming in at number 2, no other than Neon Deion, prime time, Deion Sanders. He recorded 53 interceptions. He had a total of 22 touchdowns. He was a 6-time All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler. So let's talk about Deion Sanders for a moment. The guy played offense, defense, and special team. Not to mention he played baseball where he recorded a World Series of baseball. But this guy had to have 53 interceptions when nobody ever threw on the side he was on. And also, he went against the best. He lined up against Michael Irvin. He lined up against Jerry Rice. He lined up against Chris Carter. He lined up against the best, and 9 times out of 10, he won that battle. But he did have some bumps in the road against Jerry and Michael Irvin. But overall, Deion Sanders is the 2nd best defensive player of all time. So y'all wondering, Jody, who is your number 1 defensive player of all time? I'm about to tell you, this guy changed the course of football. He made the strip sack popular. He didn't just come in and try to sack your quarterback. He tried to annihilate your quarterback. Ask Joe Theismann. And I'm coming in at number 1, no other than LT, New York Giant linebacker, Lawrence Taylor. He recorded 132 and a half sacks. He had 9 interceptions, recorded 2 touchdowns. He was an 8-time All-Pro and a 10-time Pro Bowler. Not to mention in 1986, he won the MVP. Not defense MVP, he won the league MVP because he was so dominant. What other player has been able to win the lead MVP on defense? No other than Lawrence Taylor in 1986. He changed the game. He's the best football player of all time as far as defensively. So I know y'all wondering, there's a couple people that's not on the list, but I got a little honorable mention list, and I'm going to go ahead. It's just a few. It's 2 of them that are currently playing, so I really, want to respect the guys that's done because we don't know if they may climb the list or not. One of them being Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, Mike Singletary, Troy Polamalu, and Dick Night Train Lane, a couple guys that I had honorable mention that may or may not have made that list. So, Against the Grain Sports audience, please let me know who is your top 10 defensive player of all time. I would love to see. Did I get it right? What order did I have them in? Let me know. It's Against the Grain Sports and your host, Jody Coleman.